I'm just a farmer kid from Wisconsin. Started out on a dairy farm, working 40 hours a week with school, doing a side job. I was able to get my bachelor's degree done while I was in the military. Ended up getting rear-ended, car accident, so I can't do that at the safe capacity. I was able to land this job with a mergers and acquisitions firm. But if you can get a $20 million business owner to a 10...
Sean, appreciate you coming in today and just joining us. And I kind of want to get a little bit of your story. I know we had the opportunity to serve together in the military, and you were always kind of entrepreneurial on what you did. And then when you got out, you went basically straight into business. And now you're doing M&A and stuff. I kind of want to hear your story and just learn how the military experience helped you in business.
Oh, for sure. So I'm just a farmer kid from Wisconsin. Maybe you can hear it in my voice. Started out on a dairy farm, working, 40 hours a week with school. My grades actually went up, so I need to have a lot going on. But yeah, when I was in the military, I was doing a side job where I was basically running my own little owner operator business. Making the best of it, finishing up my degree while I was there. I was able to get my bachelor's degree done while I was in the military, while doing the mission you're very familiar with. It's pretty involving. Um, and running the business up, buying real estate while I was in. Was able to buy a house there and served 5 years honorably, which still have a lot of great connections and friends. I can stop on the road wherever I go pretty much. Very grateful for my military experience and how I look at masculinity and everything like that. And guys like Movero, like salt of the earth people that are just, there's nothing bad I can say about a lot of the people I met in the military, just a lot of really good takeaways. And then moving out here into Austin, renting, the house in Omaha, and then being able to buy a house out here in Austin using, the VA loan and other benefits, just using every opportunity I can. Just very, very grateful for all that. I was actually out here. I started from nothing. I was renting a room out of a house, and the landlord ended up putting the house up for sale, and I was like, I'll buy it. So I gave him the Zestimate at interest rates were 2.65 at the time. So all the people I lived with in the house were all of a sudden paying me rent. I was making more from the rent in the house than the mortgage was. So things really fell into place after I got out of the military. Did the owner operator thing for a few years. Ended up getting rear-ended, car accident, so I can't do that at the safe capacity. But I did enjoy a lot of freedom, being able to travel. I went to Thailand, Japan, all over the U.S. Took a 4,500-mile motorcycle ride up to Connecticut. Just, being your own owner operator, business owner, just affords you a lot of freedoms that you wouldn't have with, the rigid schedule of being in the military or a normal job. So, but I'm always trying to learn. I was able to land this job with a mergers and acquisitions firm and just learning. And to be honest with you, it's cold calling, but you learn a lot. You got to build rapport fast. And that's a career change for me, moving into sales from, backbreaking labor, avionics, that one of the hardest jobs in the Air Force as far as knowledge, right? I don't know if you can attest to that. It's got to have a pretty high BAB score. It's pretty challenging. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I probably lower the IQ of everybody around me. So
No, I don't know. There's a lot of physics involved in that. I mean, you got to be a smart cookie to do that stuff. I wouldn't downplay it. I've never taken a physics class in my life, and then being able to do that really gave me a lot of confidence. So I'm definitely the type of person that um, I'm not really afraid to fail and have rejection, and you just got to keep trucking. You know you're going to be all right. So I'll take every opportunity I can.
Talk a little bit about what your I'll call it side hustle when you're in the military. Like you said, you were all going to school in the military. You were always. I'll let you talk about it. I guess a little bit what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're supposed to sign a waiver for that or something, but I just told Captain Beetle, I told everyone, I'm like, hey, I'm putting up basketball hoops on the weekend. I'm making an extra 3,000 bucks with a few days that I have off, which that was a lot of money to me. And you could be sitting around watching cartoons or whatever, but I was trying to do the most productive thing possible with the time I have. So I could not calm down in that, and I worked a lot.
But it goes to show that just a little bit extra time, a couple $1,000. I mean, that's probably double your salary. Basically. So
Yeah,
it's a little bit of hustle goes a long way.
yeah, keeps you hungry, and you know helps you economize your time a lot better too. Time management is huge. It's crazy because when you're owner operator of your own business, you a lot of times I had a lot of time where I just got all the work done, and then you end up not being as productive with more time, which is really ironic. You'd think with scarcity of time, you get more done and you're more creative. I feel like
Yeah, we've
I don't know
talked
if
a
you.
lot about how what's the not Dunning Kruger, it's the Parkinson's law. Is
Yeah.
that it's where a task will fill the space of the time that you allocate for it. And I think what
Mm-hmm,
you're saying is a perfect testament to that, because I mean, that if you take your weekends off, and I worked hard all week, I deserve a weekend to play video games and
mm-hmm,
sit around, then that's all you're going to do. But by shrinking that time and into productivity, I mean,
mm-hmm.
like you said, you doubled your salary. And being junior enlisted, I remember, those days is that paycheck only goes so far.
Oh yeah, and I mean I spent money too. I bought motorcycles. I lived in a penthouse downtown. Like I had a blast while I was out there. So I really enjoyed my time in Omaha. Would I want to move back? I don't know, but uh, it is pretty cold there. But it's uh, not as bad as I thought it was going to be, and it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be in Omaha. There's some positive trade offs, and I thought I was going to be traveling the world and stuff like that, but there was an opportunity to finish my degree and make some money and get some experience in real estate. So you always got to weigh out your opportunities. How can I make the most productive use my time most productively while I'm here? Um, because what Omaha wasn't that condemning to me when I was there. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot for sure.
Talk about what is M&A or mergers and acquisitions. How'd you get into it? What's your typical day look like? Who do you just kind of unpack all of that?
So basically, it's how it's how millionaires become billionaires and how business owners retire. So it can sound very predatory, but small business failure rate is really high. Second generation. So I mean, we just put options out there and let people know they have options. We got it's an investment banking firm, so we set up private auctions for businesses more than a standard broker, uh, more offers than a standard broker could bring them. So where a broker will bring you one offer and there's no leverage there, an investment banking firm will bring you, you know, a dozen offers, 24 offers, and there's a lot more leverage in that. And a lot of the buyers are cash buyers. There's different loans that are going away too, and I'm just starting to get into this and learn it. It's really interesting to me. Um, that's how I make 100 and 107. I actually broke the record. I did over 300 calls in a day with 6 hours talk time. So trying to figure this thing out. A lot of people look down on cold calling, but if you can get a $20 million business owner to attend a meeting, basically a full day sales pitch, kind of what it is. But I mean, that takes some skill, and everyone that I work with, is super talented, decades of experience, and there's no way to really betray each other in this job. So everybody's helping everyone. You have leads, unlimited leads, and you just rip them all day, ripping phone call and dealing with rejection all day. And at first, not everybody. Do you guys do okay with rejection? People telling you to screw up?
I'm not the best cold caller. Actually, we had a call with our business coach today about it, and he's like, you just gotta do it. It's gonna suck, but so for M&A, is there a typical deal size where it falls into that investment banking realm, or is it like, the sub 5 million EBITDA, you're probably going to go to a broker, and then, above that, you'll find an M&A advisor?
Yeah. So we work with lower middle market and private middle market. So the 1 to 25 million is pretty much our bread and butter there. Um, and ideally it's to grow and sell. For our metrics, we look for 3 or more employees for transferable value, and then a million up gross revenue is kind of what we do, what I do, what I use in my role, um, to pitch all day. So I don't know if that answers the question, but
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
that's
So you said 1 to 25 million gross revenue.
yeah, that's what we look at. And right now, like the trades are super hot, logistics companies, like I
It,
said, HVAC,
it's
huge.
funny you
Everybody
mentioned
wants
that.
to buy the
So
baby stuff.
he was talking about his transmissions. Well, I don't know what he was talking about, what vehicle his transmission, but it was acting up. But he has a small transportation company, and then I bought a plumbing company. So that's where
Yeah.
our focus is as well. I completely agree with you that that's the hot thing. So sorry I interrupted.
No, you're not interrupting at all. That's how millionaires become billionaires. They buy businesses. It's kind of awesome. And I'm just stepping in my toe into a new thing. Learning a lot every day, and it goes. You were talking about the Dunning Kruger effect. That's really interesting to me because I will talk to people that know a lot more than me all the time, and you gotta you gotta know when to you can't try to outshine that, and sometimes it just turns into a lesson. Um, but I'm always got my ears. Stay in my lane. That's something Sergeant Botts told me. He was like, "Stay in your lane, high."
It seems like you took a lot of lessons or whatever from the military and kind of transitioned that over. What has transitioned over? Because I mean, military and business is two different languages, but I think there's a lot of similarities there. And at the same time, what has worked for you?
I think military people, the military bearing, is sort of a poker face, and you shouldn't let everyone see your hand. Um, Also, be honest. Just be truthful with what you know. Don't lie. You're just digging yourself a hole. Um, as cliche as it sounds, just speak your truth of what you know, and um, everything will work out. It just works out. Staying in your lane, speaking the truth, having a good poker face. I don't show weakness either. You know, it's I don't know. That's my big thing from the military because I felt like it was kind of like working. It's kind of like a locker room. I don't know. It's very male dominated. The environment we were working in. It taught me taught me how to be a man because I was wet behind the ears, very new, small town, and you have people from different backgrounds, every single race. I grew up in small town Wisconsin, so that was the most diverse environment I've ever seen in my life, and everyone is on the same page, trying to do the same mission. Absolutely love that about it.
Yeah, I would say if society would be a lot better off if we all took that from the military. So, Tanner, I know you're itching for a question.
Well, I wanted to dig deeper into the Dunning-Kruger effect and what has been your experience with that, especially talking to people that are ultra wealthy.
Well, you run into a lot of not qualified people, and they're usually act like they know the most, even though they're not necessarily making the most. So, and I found, even when I worked at Charles Schwab, I can see these people's accounts, 25 million in their account, and they are the nicest, willing to listen people ever. So just putting aside the ego and always being able to listen and learn, that that is something a huge takeaway, and I think goes along with the Dunning Kruger effect. A lot of people who are overconfident just usually don't have a lot to add. Um, if I would always change my mind with more information. I'm like, I don't get too set on political opinion. I mean, I have a basis in morality and everything, but with more information, things can change. Um, that's what I don't try to change anyone else's mind either, you know.
Yeah, and
But
we see that a lot in the real estate investing space. Now that I'm working with portfolio sizes that are a lot larger, I'm experiencing some of that too. And I'll talk to someone who has 30, 40 million in real estate and that they own on their own. And they're, well, what do you think about this? What if I did that? And they're going to take that information and do what they want. But just that validation of having a conversation versus the guy who flipped a property one time and now is selling a course on how to make money in real estate. I think seeing the transition, I definitely want to be more like the people that are
mhm.
just avid learners, like always taking in that information. So it's cool you say that.
Yeah, I that's what I live by, just putting the ego aside and just listening, because there's a piece of the puzzle this person probably figured out that I could use, whether they're, you know, seem dumb or smart. You can't always judge people by the way they sound or the way they talk. I mean, just from, like I said, working at Schwab, $25 million guy, nicest dude ever, guy with, barely anything, just knows everything. So correlation, not always causation in a
Mhm.
lot of cases. So,
Well, and I think one of the big lessons in the military is, judging book by its cover is, when everyone's in the same uniform, you have no idea what their background is. And I learned so much about people, just human behaviors being in basic training. And I mean, it's drastic how different the cultures are when you put them all in
yeah.
one barracks and you get the melting pot.
Oh yeah. So that was humbling in itself. Being in the barracks with a bunch of 18-year-olds underage drinking and stuff like that, and I'm just like staying apart from that and doing my own thing. So a lot of humbling experiences, that's for sure. But that's where you learn.
Yeah, well, I mean, the 28-year-old in basic training was the old man, and now being on the other side of that, I'm like,
Yep.
gosh, I could not live in the barracks with a bunch of 18-year-old kids.
I always felt bad for the older people that had to stay in. 20, even 23, 24 years. There's such a difference in maturity level.
No, and they just raised the maximum enlistment age.
There is none now.
No, it's up. I think it's up to 44 or something.
I didn't think there was one.
Yeah.
What I know you said it's a lot of cold calling and stuff, but what's the sales pitch? So you cold call, you get an all day meeting with somebody. What does that sales pitch look like?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of proprietary information, but it's the name of the game. So, um, yeah, I mean, we both had a TSSCIs. We're paid to keep secrets, you and I. So,
Yeah.
but the name of the game is basically intrigue. Um, and it's trying to get them to an all-day meeting for the real pitch. 30-year vets in there, in the M&A industry. So, um, yeah, it's the hardest platform to come from and bring people in, and I'm pretty proud that I'm able to do that. Big, private middle market business owners coming in over a phone call. Have you guys ever like picked up the phone somewhere over a phone call? It's crazy. It's crazy to me, but the
So how do
company set up a
you
really good plan.
how do you find these people? You said it's endless. Like you, how do you get to the decision maker? I guess so. You got a company doing $5-10 million. This is just me trying to steal your playbook, but
Yeah.
how do you get to that decision maker?
Um. So I dig. I'll give you a kind of like basically, if you ever take a government loan or anything like that, like you took a VA mortgage, right? At some point, they share your information. So all these businesses at some point they took some sort of government loan, and I don't know if that's super ethical how they get that information. It's not my company that's just doing it. It's just how leads are generated. You ever after you got your VA loan, you notice you got a million more pamphlets in the mail and phone calls, right? They're sharing our information. I don't know who's making money from it or what, but pretty sure that's how they get the information. Just someone's making money off of that. I could be wrong. I don't know, but as I understand it, that's how they get a lot of these companies get their leads.
Well, and you said that you're primarily trying to target minimum 3 employees and revenue
Yeah,
goals
for
and stuff like
transferable
that.
value.
Yeah. So what other type of infrastructure would you want to see a business have to see if they're, I mean, to that they're viable to even work with?
Yeah, it's like a grow to sell model. So when a business owner when you bought a business, you didn't want to be the guy running it. You wanted it turnkey. So you need to have transferable value there, right? And there's a million ways to sometimes the seller can stay on for a while, or seller can sell a business without anyone ever knowing that he sold the business, and remove that liability and have a strategic partner help him. There's a lot of good stories of that, but there's a million ways to do that. And there's a ton of negotiation but I mean, I just work on the front side creating the intrigue. And that's kind of how I got. That's the start in this, dipping my toe in it, and like I said, I'm still learning. I don't know everything about it. Don't know if I should be an authority on it, but that's how I understand it.
And you said that you got into this by, I mean, you had a degree. You mentioned a couple times your degree, but that's not what got you into this. It was a network and whatever, a connection through another network. Is
Mhm.
that how you see most people get into this type of business?
um Let me think. I mean, any sort of job. I have a friend out here. He's working for Flock. You ever hear of that?
Mm-mm.
He just dated a girl that worked there and didn't end up working out. But this guy, you can actually look him up. He's on TikToks. He's actually viral. Is a bipolar guy, loving life is his TikTok name. And the guy was actually he was he's actually, and all of his information's out there. I'm gonna get in the shade a little bit here. He was actually working in the financial industry for a while, and he ended up getting into this. It's a public this scam with I call him the Wolf of Cream Street. There's like this big scam that went on where they were doing like anti-aging creams to um, actually military people, and somehow he was involved in it, but he ended up failing one of his background report. He's a good guy. He's a Christian. I know him. He's medically regulated and everything. He actually lived with me for a period of time. Rented one of my rooms. Sounds insane, I know, but yeah, I mean, you pay rent every month. I got a 4-bedroom house, so I'm always trying to make the best of things. And he is one of my best friends, and I trust him. He just and he's an example of like redemption in my mind, where he was bipolar. He did a bunch of crazy stuff. He had a court case pending for like 10 years, and his following's huge now. But yeah, he ended up losing his $250,000 a year job, which isn't that uncommon out here, and starting from scratch and building a TikTok following, and now he does like consulting, mental health consulting. So there's always an opportunity.
Is that how he makes his money now? Is TikTok, or is that just
and and cold calling. But he was making enough where with his consulting where he could just do that, but his video viewership went down because he had too much free time. So the scarcity of time with the cold calling actually helps his viewership and everything like that. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of like if you do something you don't want to do long enough, you figure out what you want to do. Kind of like ComNav in the Air Force.
no?
Just kidding.
Yeah, the whole social media thing and making money. My sister got married a couple weeks ago, and talking to this girl at the wedding, and she's a nurse by trade. She does traveling nursing. She said, I make twice as much doing TikTok than I do as a traveling nurse. And I was just like, holy cow, like a traveling nurse is like 1.5 times a nurse. And then now she's doing twice that. So I don't, she's making probably a couple hundred just doing TikToks or something like that. But
It's great. I mean, I've talked to business owners that make 12 million a year just from a clothing line from a TikTok that blew up. It's not an uncommon story. Everything's so, decentralized nowadays where anyone with a platform that's interesting to look at or listen to can make a ton of money. So it's definitely a great opportunity. Good time to be in, I think,
Tanner's a TikTok
for
star.
entrepreneurship.
Not about star, but the
Consumer.
yeah. Well, I think that what a lot of people have mastered with these platforms is just the ability to grab attention. And I've been wondering if eventually these people are going to start selling their platforms because they've become so good at it. I don't know what that would look like, but like you said, use the example earlier that a business owner could sell their business and still stay in the business. You would never notice there's a difference. I see that happening with a lot of these TikTok platforms and YouTube channels and stuff. If someone sells the rights to all their stuff and they just keep working it and then become a salaried employee, like there might be an exit opportunity there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can totally see that.
No,
But
maybe you're the guy to start
I mean,
cold calling all these influencers.
Maybe you need to start a
well, they
PE
are the
firm
business.
buying up influencers.
They are the business though, so you're buying a person. So maybe it's like a record deal or something like that.
Well, as long as they have 3 employees, is that right? As long as they have 3 employees doing it for
Yeah,
them.
maybe. I don't know, but their whole platform depends on them. I don't know how. I don't know. It's a good idea though.
I got a
They're,
question about the 3 employees. Why is there some magic number about 3 employees, or what's the? I would just be scared that everybody would walk out with the owner at 3 employees.
I don't, I'm not sure why they set up that metric, but like I said, there's got to be some form. I've met CNC guys that buy and sell CNC machines, like very niche market, and they're pulling in 6 million on their own, and they just because the new model now is everybody has contractors do everything, then you don't have to pay any benefits or anything like that. But if you're relying on contractors, that's not necessarily a good thing. People want to buy a business turnkey. Um, so I've met single people selling CNC machines, reselling them. They make $6 million a year just doing that by themselves, hiring contractors. But it's not transferable because they are the business. They have all the connections. You can't buy a person. You want something that's turnkey. So that's as I understand it. That
So
makes
it kind of
sense.
sounds like a litmus test is like if you can take a vacation and your business is still running, then you have something sellable. Is that a
Mhm.
good rule of thumb?
Yeah, a good test of the health of your business is if you can put your cell phone in a safe for 2 weeks and it runs on its own. That's typically what we say. If that makes sense. But yeah, they want something turnkey. They don't don't want to buy a person.
I think I can.
What do you?
Don't want to buy a job. They want to buy a business. That's what they say.
Hey, I'm right there bored with you. What do you see the? Do you see things in the business buying standpoint getting easier or harder? It seems like, I mean, I just bought a business a year ago, so obviously I'm jumping in the game, and I've actually bought two plumbing companies in the last year.
Mhm.
Trying to get in HVAC as well and bring both of those together. Do you see more people doing things like that? Do you? I don't think it's as hard as people think it is. So, do you think more people are getting into that, or should more people get into that?
It really depends on what you want to do. I mean, you could join a pool of buyers and scope out businesses. You go to Deal Force. That's our app. But I mean, there's certain loans that come and go. Like, I don't know if you use an SBA loan. I don't really work on that side of things. But did you buy the business outright, or did you use a loan to buy it, or?
Yeah. Well, the business, it, it was through a loan. I didn't pay cash for it. We'll go there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's interesting. And some of those loans go away. They come back, and interest rates go up and down. So it really depends on the person, I guess, and what the market's doing.
So it came with the real estate. And so I was
Hmm.
able to leverage the real estate portion quite a bit. So that did help,
Oh, very cool.
which I'm a fan of. I know I've seen so many different business models. I mean, McDonald's, people argue that they're not a hamburger company; they're a real estate company. They just happen to sell
Hmm.
hamburgers. Uh, but then there's other people. What's the golf place in town? The Top Golf.
Oh. Hmm.
So Top Golf has a completely different philosophy. They go in, they buy the land, they build it, they establish the business, they put a lease in place, and then they sell the building, and then they take that capital and go use it for the next one. So their motto is to get uh, more brick and mortars and less real estate. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do things, but I like the real estate aspect of it.
Yeah, kind of a mixed deal there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I heard a story yesterday about mattress firms. Like there's all these conspiracies about them being, fronts
Yeah, I
for the
heard those
cartels
too.
and all that stuff. Well, they
Yeah.
said basically these mattress companies are coming into really high development areas, and they rent just a box because they don't need any build out. Like it's very low cost for developers to put a mattress store in, and then they lock them into really long-term leases, and
Mm.
those are usually transferable. They'll sublet them, and now they control a really high traffic area. So I think it's genius. And I mean, as a real estate guy, that was the whole reason for getting into business, is so that I can buy more real estate. And so
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
taking the things that you're saying, because I mean he bought a business that had full staff of employees. I had one employee when I bought it, and went through probably eight in the last not even a year that I've owned the business. So now it's just
Wow.
getting more systems and operating stuff like that. But what do you think is, just from your experience in the M&A side, what
Mm.
misconceptions do you think are out there for small business buying?
You're asked the wrong guy. I work on the front end. I'm the first touch on this, so I do not want to speak on outside my scope. I mean, you guys are in the weeds with this. I think that's pretty awesome. I
So
think I could probably
I'll
learn
ask
more
it a
from you
different
in some
way.
ways.
When
Yeah.
you cold call all these people, what objections do you get?
The big one is I'm gonna turn it over to my family, and that's a tough one. But it's like, the small business failure rate is super high for second generation. I'm working with the broker. Um, an investment banking firm can bring you way more offers on the table than any broker can. It's not limiting you logistically. It's another one. Not right now. Well, it's like, if you're going to exit, the three Ds: death, divorce, duress. they can change things really fast. So it's always good to have an exit strategy for 4 to 7 years out, just in case. Uh, I really just in case, something happens. So that's kind
So,
of
so what you're saying is typically people will wait to talk to an M&A firm till they're ready to sell. When you're saying that it would probably be smarter to talk to them early on so they can help you
yeah,
pave the path.
yeah. I mean, you definitely don't want know what the market's doing. You don't want to sell in a dip. Um, what else? Yeah, polishing up a car. When you go to sell, you want it to be invulnerable. You don't want to get nickel and down. 90% of deals fall through the first go around. They'll try to lower your price. So an offer out of nowhere, you should be very weary of that. And when you step out, you want to leave in a position of power. So that's pretty important.
Yeah, one
and
thing
one
I've
line.
noticed with small businesses is their bookkeeping is absolutely atrocious. And so if you're looking to sell in the next 2, 3, 4 years, like most banks want a couple years of good, clean financial data if
Right.
you're going to be able to get a loan on it. And that was kind of the problem that I alluded to earlier with us, with the plumbing company I bought. And so if you want to sell at a premium, you need good, clean data to be able to
Right.
paint that story. And most of the times, bookkeeping is the last thing that a small business owner thinks of.
Yeah, one line item of accounting can cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So there's a whole due diligence process, outside set of eyes looking at that, going through it with a fine tooth comb, so the buyer can't nickel and dime you down. Because, like I said, 90% of the deals the first time they fall through. So that's something we really harp on a lot. Being ready.
Yeah, you keep mentioning due diligence. That's like my Achilles heel when it comes to this stuff. I like finding the deals. I like underwriting them, negotiating. I hate going through the due diligence and what's your asset list look like, and the things the bank cares the most about is the things I hate the most. So, what have you gone full cycle with the deal since you've been doing this? Have you done a cold call, set
Yeah.
down on everything, and then go through the purchasing?
To be honest, no, I'm the first touch. The name of the game is intrigue, and like I said, I'm stepping into a brand new career field, so it's very exciting to me, and I'm learning a lot. So, but yeah, so it's the first touch, and it's all learning and just informing people. The new sales model is pretty much just teaching. So, I don't know if you've read. What's the book? There's a couple of really good books out there. The Challenger Sale is a good one, just for psychology. 'Cause sales, it's a lot of psychology, just understanding what people want to hear, and but yeah, it's really interesting to me. But no, I haven't done full cycle. It's like they go to the big boy pitch, and I step out. But it's cool that I can that I can do what I can do and get people to go and stuff. From the lowest platform, a phone call. I mean, do you guys follow like Don Pena or anything? The guy who's like, I murdered a bear. I killed a bear. The white-haired guy, the old dude.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some of his stuff. Some of it, yeah. He's like,
It's
is
out
he
there.
British or Scottish or something like that? I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Anthony Hopkins off The Edge, but he was like, if you want to be a millionaire, start cold calling. Do 2,000 cold calls. And it's like, this is just a leg of information that I want to learn a lot more about. Learning people, learning sales. So it's really interesting to me.
Did they send you to some, lack of a better school or term, school for cold calling, or they just handed you something and said, "Here you go"?
So we do have a script, but there's a lot of tribal knowledge involved. Like the scribes in Comnic, this secret set of notes that just work, So it's script plus you, so you got to put a lot of your own personality in there as well. So it's cold calling, but you got to be warm too. getting through gatekeepers and stuff like that. It's really interesting stuff.
Get through what? GC?
Oh, getting through gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are like the first touch when, like the front desk person that says you can talk to the big man or not, the decision maker. So that's always really fun.
What you mentioned one book, but you're trying to think of another one. What books have, or what has helped you, even if it's not books or whatever? What has helped
So actually,
you?
the Challenger sale is really good, and that goes through like just starting out in sales, and then it goes up into management as well. Not there yet, but there's also Eat What You Kill is a good one. When I was door knocking, I sold solar for a while. So that is a cult of an industry. I don't know if you've ever talked to door knockers, but basically, I'm just trying to cut my teeth really, really fast and get a lot of reps in because it is a career change. So I did the door knocking. Now I'm doing the cold call. So a lot of people say just wait for a big break. So there's a ton of opportunity out here in Austin. I think I'm exactly where I need to be right now. So.
Yeah, I heard if you're gonna hire a solar guy, you need to just go to Utah and get a Mormon, and that's you don't even need to train them. They're like, as long as they got back from their mission, they're good. I wish
I actually grew up Mormon, so.
What's that?
I actually grew up Mormon, so that's kind of funny.
I didn't know that. So, did you go on a mission?
No.
Oh.
I went on the alert mission, but not a mission. Just kidding.
What you might know this, but there's somebody, it's a book or something like that. But he talked about he was cold caller and he had 2 jars on his desk. And every day he had paper clips on him. He had to take one paper clip for every phone call that he made, and he moved it over to the other jar. And then he couldn't go home for the day until all the paper clips were from one jar to the other. And the next day he'd come back in and move them. Do you have anything like that you do, or
you want to get a hold of? Yeah, so you take notes how many people you talk to. You want to get a hold of 15 owners a day, so you get past the gatekeeper, talk to 15 owners, and ideally 4 qualified people. So they call those at bats. So those are kind of our metrics that we chase, and you got to make a game out of it. You got to game it because it's grueling, but it's like, I don't know if you ever heard of musky fishing, but fish of 10,000 casts, which I've caught one of those before. So you'll be out there for weeks on end sometimes. I know you'll have dry spells, and out of your lowest point, that's usually when things start happening. When you try something different or tweak something, it's where you find a different part of yourself, and it's where you find your voice too on phones. Incorporate your personality and everything that works. So. Yeah, definitely have to game it, just piece by piece. And it's brick by brick. It's keeping them on the phones, getting them qualified, getting them there. There's a lot to it. It's pretty grueling. Anyone that can cold call has a high level of resilience or door knocking, because it's a lot of rejection every day, and you got to be able to manage that. Because for me, like, it doesn't hit me during the day when it's happening. It's offset at the end of the day. We're like, whoa, what was that? You know what I mean? Just hits you in waves. You just gotta ride the waves, because sales is it's pretty emotional. It's a lot like gambling or fishing or anything else like that.
What are the major similarities or differences between doing more of the corporate cold calling versus, like, so you're selling solar, you're selling directly to consumer, whereas now it's B2B.
B2B. It can be more professional, but sometimes people descend into their lowest forms and chew you out over the phone, and it's like, yeah, I always end it with "Have a good day. I hope you have a blessed day. I think I caught you in a bad mood." You just can't let it get to you. But they will say everything. But I mean, they're right to. I just think you're allowed to ask permission. Like, if you're ever out trying to meet a wife or a girlfriend, I feel like you're allowed to ask permission, but they're allowed to tell you to go away. And then if they tell you to go away, you just go away and keep on trucking.
So basically, you're saying it's just like dating. You just keep
It's probably
going,
easier
keep
than
going.
dating, especially this day. Yeah.
We'll turn this podcast into dating advice.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
KPI.
So,
Yeah.
what is next for you? So, you've doing the cold calling stuff like that. How do you move up in this? Is it just put in the reps, or what's the career trajectory on that? Is it breaking out and doing your own thing? Is it just becoming the salty guy that's been doing this for 30 years, or how does this career field work?
Well, I feel like I don't know, kind of being led by the unseen hand here. I think God has a plan. I don't know what it is, but things happen for a reason, and just try to make the best opportunity. Ideally, I don't want to be a cold caller forever. I don't think this is the destination. It's more of a continuum of learning. I enjoy my day to day, though. I really like it. I feel like I'm learning every day. I'm engaged. So a big break would be nice. A lot of my best friends and mentors out here. I'm in my mid 30s. They're in their 40s. A lot of them are making $250,000 and up. So, they went through a lot of the same things I'm going through now. So ideally, a big break would be nice. So continue to network and make the best out of my situation and keep moving forward, and just know that it's going to get better, because it always just gets better. From shoveling crap at the farm to working in a warehouse to, doing ComNav in the Air Force. Now I work in an office, a nice area, very clean out here. I get to dress nice for once, wear what I want, wear nice clothes. Confidence is high. It's just really taking all the positives out of it that I can, while it's grueling. A lot of adversity, but I enjoy it.
You got anything, or?
No, I appreciate you sharing this side with us. I mean, I don't know much about the M&A space, so, I mean, definitely insightful. And I admire that you can stay positive through all this. And we talked a lot about freedom on this. I think that freedom from the negativity of cold calling is probably the most admirable part of the freedoms I've learned from you.
Sean, I got what does freedom look like for you, other than being on the open road and enjoying your motorcycle? What's your, lack of a better term, financial career ambition, freedom look like?
Yeah. Freedom of location, freedom, financial freedom, being around, freedom to be around the people I want to be around, whether it's family or, friends, just not in a corner, just options. Always trying to buy more options in life and do what you want to do. Because, being on the road for 2 weeks at a time, at some point it's isolating and condemning. So, you just got to find, something it's more long lasting. But I don't know if that answers your question, but freedom, location, time, finances, that's what we all strive for, I think. Right?
Hey, I agree with you. It's not my question, it's your answer. So
yeah, that's my ultimate goal. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Sean. I know you need to get back to your cold calling, and I appreciate you catching up with you. Like I said, we haven't chatted in the last couple of years, so I need to get down to Austin and check it out one day. I appreciate
Anytime, man. Anytime. It's nice to meet you too. All right.
See ya.
See you later, guys.